I really like this hat, but I never wear it. Well, I used to have more hair. Don't really have much anymore. I wanted to talk about my other projects. In my last thought video, I talked a little bit about how I feel about my YouTube channel and things I was stuck on and the internet and a bunch of other stuff. I didn't specifically mention other things that I'm working on, so I wanted to take a minute and talk about that because I am excited about what I'm doing. Even though I'm still kind of stuck, I'm really excited about the things that I'm planning. So I have a few projects that I want to do for the channel, and I kind of have to come to terms with the fact that for me to do all the things that I want to do, this channel is not going to have a real niche. It's mostly just going to be stuff that I do, which is why it has the title that it does. I specifically gave this channel the title of Vast Does Stuff because I wanted to do everything. Before I even started the channel, I thought a lot about all the different things I wanted to do, and I had all these different names in mind for different specific things. Like, I thought about calling the channel just How Do I, like, dot dot. But it didn't really capture me. It wasn't about me. It was about the stuff that, we're learning together, which it still is. This channel is not about me. It's about experiences that I have that I think are relatable. But I think that for it to really capture the experiences that I have and the things that I'm about, it has to be all over the place. It has to include, moments like this where I just talk about my thoughts. It has to include these moments where I stretch and crack everything. It has to include, like, anime reviews, for example, or me talking about video games, which I haven't done yet, but I plan to. Specifically, some of my favorite video games. I don't want to just... When I want to do these things, I don't want to just review every single anime or video game or experience. I want to talk about the things that have moved me in very specific ways. And they might not even be so much about the show or the game or whatever, but more so about my takeaway from it, because we all have different takeaways, and I really like hearing people's takeaways, and I also like sharing them with my friends, and this is a way for me to share them with everyone at the same time. I want to do... I've started some early work on a new podcast, different than the one I make right now. And I've also started some really early work on an accompanying video series that's going to be on the channel. So I'm actually just planning to do a documentary series that's going to show up intermittently in my channel, that goes hand in hand with a podcast series. And it's really just going to be about people's stories. It's going to be me talking to people and hearing the stories about them that are usually lost. I think over our lifespan, we accumulate these little stories that aren't really significant on their own, but contribute to us as people. And I want to share these stories. I want to talk to people who have those stories, and I want to hear them. Stories that sometimes they might feel aren't important. I have stories like that from my mom, from my dad. And I want to capture these stories on video and on podcasts and everything, and I want to share them. I think the little stories that we have in our lives really fill us out and shape us as people, even though we don't know how. There are huge events in our lives that change our lives, sure, but there are also really tiny stories that people have and people share, and they don't know why. Sometimes they don't even know why they remember it. It's just something that's there. It's something that doesn't happen every day, but happened today. And that's going to be a part of them, for better for worse, for some reason. And I just I want to get to know these stories. So that's one of the plans I have. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how frequent those videos are going to be. I would like to do one once a month, but they probably won't start coming out till I have at least a couple leads for stories, people to interview and stuff. Because I think they'll take a little bit more time to do than just me sitting in my room by myself. I also still want to make comedy videos. I haven't really made any actual just comedy videos yet as of recording this, but I have a few ideas that I want to do, and I just haven't done them because I've just been so excited about the other things that I want to do. I do plan to make one soon. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, like, it's just I want to do a bunch of different things. I want to do so many things, and honestly, sometimes it's overwhelming, and it's like jarring to think that, okay, cool, I have to do so many different projects every day, or like so many different pieces of a different project every day to actually get somewhere with all these things. And if you watch some of my earlier videos about me building habits and routines and stuff like that, realistically, sometimes it just doesn't happen. I struggle with a lot of things, with a lot of productivity things and just doing stuff. But I also want to make this my life. I want to do something that's more significant than what I've been doing. And, okay, like, more significant to me, more significant to the things that I actually value. Because being a leader is cool, and it's not like it's insignificant. I do think that I helped a lot of people, or at least some people, in my job that I had of being a manager. But I can't say that I created anything with it. I can't say that I built what I set out to build, or, achieved my own personal goals. I just helped somebody figure out how to navigate conversations, which is a skill. It's a good skill, and I think that skill comes in handy when you try to interview people, for example, or express yourself and tell stories. But at the end of the day, that wasn't what I needed to do for myself. Yeah, I just wanted to share that, I said all those things in that previous thought video about what I want to do, or how I need to change certain things and how I'm stuck. And this video is more so about, like, hey, here are some of my plans. I want to make mini documentaries. I want to eventually make some cool films, and I'm not sure what yet. I have a lot of, like, rough ideas of, like, screenplays and books and stuff that I'm writing. I don't know if I'm gonna, write a book of short stories, or like another poetry book or a novel or something like that. I wrote a poetry book before, in case I never mentioned it. I wrote a poetry book before. I self-published it, and looking back on it now, it's super cringy, but I'm glad I did it. Because it's something I can look at and say, okay, I actually made something. I finished a project, and I think that's super important to be able to do and to say, is that I completed something. It's really encouraged me to make more things, and I haven't since then. But, like, I haven't made a finished project. I've written more poems. I've written short stories. But up until I started the podcast, and up until I started the YouTube channel, I hadn't conceptualized something fully the way I am right now with this and these other projects. So, yeah, I really hope that you want to join me for some of the things I'm making. So when I have a new podcast, I already have a podcast, but when I have this other podcast, I'll talk about it. And when I have those new documentaries, those mini documentaries, I'll post about those too. Well, you'll see them. They're on the channel. And any other work that I'm doing. So if I, write more poems or make another book or, whatever I do, I'm going to talk about it here. I think I'm going to start a Patreon. Just for support. It would be really neat if the multitude of little things that I'm trying to do could, find a way to be sustaining. That being said, I'm also going to try to do some photography and videography stuff once I, get better at those things. I feel like I'm pretty decent at editing, but I try not to do it too much in my videos. I just want to make them look smooth. I don't want to make them look extravagant. But yeah, I do want to do more creative things, and I want to make sure that I don't have to go back to a job that's not who I am. Yeah, so I'm going to start a Patreon. I'm going to work on these other projects, and I'm going to try to let you know when everything comes out. I think for the Patreon, it's literally just going to be like 2 tiers. Like the first tier is going to be just like tips, and the second tier is going to be the download of my music. So I actually make music, and I actually just make the music for my podcasts. I use them in my video too sometimes. Not every video has my songs in it, but a lot of them do. And yeah, they're actually not released anywhere, so I'll make that an available download. It's going to be literally like 2 tiers. The first tier is like $1. Just, you want to tip. You want to say, hey, good job, nice hat, whatever. And the second one is going to be like $3, and it's going to be access to the music that I make. I make 2 songs a month right now. It might be more later. It definitely won't be less. I'm going to make sure that I keep consistent with that. But yeah, it's just, that's what it is. I like the idea of putting myself out there. And I was really scared of it before. Always very self-conscious about, knowing what I'm doing or having everything all lined up so nobody can point out any flaws. And to be frank, I don't give a shit anymore. I can't wait anymore to do these things because fuck. I just can't. See ya.